Good day, everyone. I am Marilu M. Susukan, and I'm going to present Ethics in Other Cultures, a Comparative Ethical Standards in Asia. Efforts to harmonize ethics assessment across the world need to take into account the significant differences in institutions, values, legal frameworks, and cultural practices that exist between different countries and regions. Asia is a continent that occupies the eastern major landmass of the Eurasian continent. The concept of Asia has a Western origin. It was first coined by the ancient Greeks to designate the lands of their territory. It refers to the entire landmass between the eastern border of Europe and the Pacific. Asia is divided into 6 geographic subregions that are characterized by perceivable commonalities like culture, religion, language, and relative ethnic homogeneity. The 6 geographic subregions of Asia are the following: the Central Asia, the East Asia, the South Asia, the North Asia, the Southeast Asia, and the West Asia. Culture and religion are inseparable. Beliefs and practices are uniquely cultural. Cultural practices becomes religionalized and religious ideas becomes part of the culture. Religious texts serve as a very useful vehicle to convey moral values. Between religion and ethics, it is difficult to tell which serves as a means and which as an end. Just as ethics was advocated as requisite for taking religious or spiritual path, religion also serves as a means and occasion for moral instruction. There are 5 components of religion. First, metaphysics and concept of God. Second, ways to salvation or liberation. Third, mythology. Fourth, rules of custom governing social institutions and rituals. And fifth is the basic ethics. Religions may differ from each other significantly in the first 4 components, but they more or less agree on the basic ethical principles like commitment to truth, compassion for the weak, and self-control. It is possible to have ethics without religion, but religion without ethics is not worth its name. One can be ethical without being religious, but cannot be religious without being ethical. Central Asia has its own culture, but they are very much related. It was once a part of the Soviet Union. Countries in Central Asia share their religion, Islam. It is where Middle Eastern culture meets Russian Soviet culture. The influence of the Soviet Union and Russia is a major factor in Central Asian culture. People put a lot of emphasis and value on family and homeland. These values are a direct result of the 70 years that the Communist Party ruled Russia. Under Soviet rule, people became dependent on the sharing of resources among family members, and this meant that the strong extended family was valuable. The culture of the area cannot be separated from religious beliefs and practices. The most significant religion is Islam. Islamic law and regular law are combined together, and the daily cycle of prayer 5 times a day is simply a part of life. Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan are all 90% Muslim, and Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan aren't far behind. Russia is 47% Christian and mostly Russian Orthodox. Russian Orthodox is second to Islam in Central Asia countries. The closer you get to Russia, the more Russian Orthodox people you find. East Asia. East Asia is an area usually considered to include China, Japan, North Korea, and South Korea. These countries all have their own distinct cultures, but they do have few things in common. Their strong sense of hierarchy, their respect for authority, and conventions about how to behave in public. The economic miracle of East Asia is followed by the emergence of a new common identity in Confucianism among the nations in the region. Being the predominant cultural determining force in East Asia, Confucianism has deeply influenced East Asian behavior. The religions in East Asia are the Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. The South Asia. The culture of South Asia is completely entwined in language, ethnicity, and religion. There are hundreds of languages, ethnic groups, and many popular religions. These things, along with Western influences, especially from the old British Empire, produce a patchwork of local cultural variations and differences. Religion is a big part of the culture of South Asia. There are many practiced religions like Hindu, Islam, Buddhism, and Sikhism especially. All four of these religions were born in South Asia and go back for thousands of years with connections to ancient civilization in the area. The religions are separated along national borders. When the British gave India its independence, it was split into two countries. India was the area that was mostly Hindu, with some Buddhist, and Pakistan was the region that was mostly Islamic. To this day, over 90% of Pakistanis are Muslim. One of the big cultural patterns in the area is the contrast between egalitarian ideals and caste systems. Egalitarian ideals say that everyone is of equal value and nobody is born superior to anyone else. In caste system, Hindu faith is the reason that, historically, India had a caste system which gave people a social standing at birth. There is a clear cultural distinction between egalitarian Muslim countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Maldives, and Bangladesh. Egalitarian Buddhist countries like Bhutan and Sri Lanka, and Hindu countries like India and Nepal. While the caste system is less strong in India these days, these cultural roots are still there. Their society remains hierarchical and subordinates tend not to contradict. Israel is an outlier in Asia because a major part of its population has migrated to the country coming from Western countries in recent times. A great part of the landmass of Russia is considered to belong to Asia and also occupies an outlier position on the cultural map, being part of the ex-communist value system. A possible explanation for its position, notably showing a high score on survival values, is its unstable economic development after the collapse of the Soviet Union. In Russia, there are 41% Russian Orthodox Christian, 25% spiritual but not religious, 30% atheist, 5.5% undecided, 6.5% Islam, 7.3% other variations of Christianity, 1.2% native Slavic faiths, paganism and Tengrism, and 0.5% Tibetan Buddhism. The Southeast Asia, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam practices the Buddhist culture. while Vietnam also practices Confucianism. Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei are Islam countries, while Philippines and East Timor are the only Christian countries in Southeast Asia. The West Asia. Almost 93% of Western Asia's inhabitants are Muslims and is characterized by political Islamic, except Israel, which is a Jewish state. Armenia and Georgia have an unmistakable Christian tradition, and Lebanon shares a large Christian and a large Muslim community. Religions in Asia. 26.1% of countries in Asia are Islam, 25.7% are Hindu, 20% has no religion, 11.3% are Buddhist, 8.6% has folk religions, 7.2% are Christians, and 1.2% has other religions. The ethics in Islam. It is predicated on the belief that there is but one God, Allah, the creator of the universe and of humankind. It is very much a law-oriented religion and provides the guidelines and principle upon which laws and regulations can be established. Its influence must not be viewed in a narrowly legalistic light, but rather as providing a framework which guarantees basic fairness and justice to all. Islam has a comprehensive perspective regarding the ethical issues because the lawgiver for all systems, including the ethical system, is Allah, who knows everything and what is best for all human beings. Ethics in Islam are defined as a good principles and values based on the Islamic sources. The Islamic sources are the only standards for identifying what is right and what is wrong. The Islamic ethics and Islamic sources have different characteristics that make the Islamic perspective more appropriate to explain ethics. These characteristics are comprehensiveness, realism, and balance. Ethics in Islam are consistent with the ability of human beings and they cover all aspects of life. The Hindu ethics. Hindu ethics are taught by guidance from leaders and teachers or the guru, wandering holy men or the sadhus, and sages or rishis. Some gurus are venerated and may work miracles. Morality is taught through Hindu scriptures or the Ramayana. The scriptures prohibit murder, theft, adultery, and consuming alcohol, and promote kindness to others, respect for all life, vegetarianism, and respect for elders. In Hinduism, there is no centralized religious authority and the religion is held together by the duties of family and caste. Hindu ethics philosophy has been evolving 4,000 years. Its sources are the Vedas, the oldest known literature in the world. Hindu ethics is primarily concerned with the right action as a means of religious fulfillment. Hindu ethics is mainly subjective or personal, its purpose being to eliminate such mental impurities as greed and egoism for the ultimate attainment of the highest good. Objective ethics, which deals with social welfare, is based upon the Hindu conception of dharma or duty, related to a man's position in society and his stage in life. Its purpose being to help the members of society to rid themselves of self-centeredness, cruelty, greed, and other vices, and thus to create an environment helpful to the pursuit of the highest good which transcend society. In Hinduism, there are 4 goals in life: love or pleasure or kama, material wealth or artha, the path or dharma, and the release from reincarnation or moksha. Many Hindu practices derives from the belief that the Brahma, the divine, is all-pervading. If divinity is everywhere, then everything must be respected. Nature is not separate from humanity. Therefore, animals are revered, particularly cows. It is practical application of the belief of oneness and therefore the sacredness of life. Buddhist ethics and ethical teachings. Buddhists believe that their action today will impact their happiness in the future. This principle is called karma, and it encourages Buddhists to be generous, kind, and compassionate towards others. If one speaks or acts with a wicked mind because of that, pain follows one. If one speaks or acts with a good mind because of that, happiness follows one. Karuna teaches that a Buddhist should care for others even though they are also attempting to overcome their own suffering. Metta means loving kindness. Buddhists attempt to show loving kindness towards others and themselves without expecting anything in return. Buddhists do not believe in a deity, so the 5 precepts are suggested ways of living rather than commandments given by a god. A Buddhist must want to behave in a morally good way in order to achieve enlightenment. The 5 moral precepts: to refrain from taking life, to refrain taking what is not freely given, to refrain from misuse of the senses or sexual misconduct, to refrain from wrong speech, to refrain from intoxicants that cloud the mind. The Christian ethics. Christian ethics is based on the divine revelation of God's Word and the person of Jesus. This is the man who possesses truth. Many Christians define moral actions as either sinful action or God-honoring action. Christians believe that morality is set by God and modeled by His Son, Jesus. According to Christian perspective, morality shouldn't differ from person to person. For some Christians, not only murder, theft, and adultery, but coveting, idolatry, homosexuality, and other actions or lifestyles are considered immoral because of absolute prescriptions set by Bible. Christians believe that people have fallen into sin and that people are therefore born with a tendency to sin rather than do good. By nature, Christians believe no man is moral or ethical, rather that we live in a constant struggle to become moral, while attempting to live our lives in a manner that aligns with Christian ethics. Taoist ethics. Taoist ethics are concerned less with doing good acts than becoming a good person who lives in harmony with all things and people. Taoist ethics are inseparable from Taoist spirituality. Both contain the same ideas. If a Taoist wants to live well, they should take all their decisions in the context of the Tao, trying to see what will fit best with the natural order of things. Taoists thus always do what is required by events and their context, but they only do what is required, no more. The Taoist ideal is for a person to take action by changing themselves and thus becoming an example of the good life to others. Taoist texts suggest that the ideal way for a leader to run their country is by example and with minimal intervention. A good leader is one that the people respect and whose instructions are willingly followed. The good leader achieves this by living virtuously in private and living publicly so as to influence his people for the good. Confucian ethics. Confucian ethics is another form of virtue ethics which has a fundamental assumption that humans are not born moral but instead are socialized into morality. Confucianism is a system of thought and behavior originating in ancient China, variously described as tradition, a philosophy, a religion, a humanistic or rationalistic religion, a way of governing, or simply a way of life. Confucianism developed from what was later called the 100 schools of thought from the teachings of the Chinese philosopher Confucius. Some of the basic Confucian ethical concepts and practices includes Ren, Yi and Li, and Zi. Ren is the essence of the human being which manifests as compassion. It is the virtue form of heaven. Yi is the upholding of righteousness and moral disposition to do good. Li is the system of ritual norms and propriety that determines how a person should properly act in everyday life in harmony with the law of heaven. Confucianism holds one in contempt, either passively or actively, for failure to uphold the cardinal moral values of Ren and Yi. To summarize, the diverse Asian cultures existing presently in Asia is as a result of historical civilization. Early civilization in the continent provides a basis for various similarities of Asian culture across Asia. Contents of moral systems in the Eastern world, no matter whether they originated from Confucianism, Hinduism, Islam, or Buddhism, can be described as duty-based. Asian ethics focuses on protocol and respect with a basis on religious teachings, emphasizes respect towards family, rooted in Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, with holistic and cultural approach in which good and bad, light and dark all exist in equilibrium. Purihin ka, O Diyos,